The colony ship Aurora 9 glided through the nebula rim, its long metal body shining under distant blue stars. But inside, the silence was tense. The ship was home to thousands of humans, but it was under the control of the Kyrith, a cold and calculating alien species. Mira, a young technician, walked through Corridor C, her mind replaying a strange voice message from her younger brother, Evan. It had arrived just 10 minutes ago. His voice, usually so steady, was filled with a fear she'd never heard before. Mira, if anything happens, don't trust the patrol. They are not what they look like. Then, the message cut off. Why would he say that? He was working a quiet shift on the engineering deck. Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship. Emergency in engineering deck. Breach detected. Her heart stopped. Evan. He was there. Dropping her toolbox, she ran. She pushed through crowds, her legs shaking, and scrambled down an emergency ladder when the elevator was too slow. The engineering deck was chaos. Red lights flashed through thick smoke. 2 armored Kyrith soldiers blocked the entrance. Stay back, one commanded. Human technicians are not allowed inside. My brother is in there. Evan, she pleaded. The second Kyrith's black eyes were empty. 1 casualty has been reported. You may check the list later. His voice was flat, devoid of any sympathy. Anger flared in Mira, but she waited. When they turned away, she slipped under a fallen beam and crawled through a small opening hidden by the smoke. The deck was destroyed. Metal panels were torn open as if by giant claws. The air smelled of burned wires and something sharp, something chemical. Her foot hit something small. She looked down. It was Evan's ID tag burned, cracked, and splattered with dark stains. The edges were melted, damaged by a weapon far hotter than any human tool. Evan, where are you? She whispered. She heard voices and quickly hid. 2 Kyrith officers entered. Dispose of the body. Report it as an accident caused by a pressure burst, one said. The other replied, the boy saw too much. The High Command wants no traces left. Mira froze, her hand clamped over her mouth to stifle a sob. They were talking about Evan. It was no accident. It was a cover-up. They spoke in their own language then, but she caught one terrifying line. The human girl. She must not discover the truth. They meant her. After they left, Mira saw a trail of scorched marks leading to a locked storage room. Fresh Kyrith fingerprints glowed on the panel. Her grief turned to cold, hard rage. She remembered Evan's warning. Don't trust the patrol. He knew. He knew they were lying. Wiping her tears, she picked up his broken ID tag and slipped it inside her jacket. I will not let them erase you, she whispered. That night, in her cabin, she saved his last message on a hidden drive. The Kyrith expected her to cry and accept their story. But Mira had made a promise. She would wait. She would learn, and one day she would make them repent. Holding his broken ID, she whispered into the darkness. I promise, little brother. They will pay. The night of the accident, sleep never came. Mira sat on her cabin floor, her eyes fixed on the small drive hidden beneath her bed. It held Evan's last message. His voice, trembling, warning her. She played it over and over, the artificial sun of the ship rising outside her window. The corridors of Aurora 9 looked normal. People walked by. The Kyrith guards stood like statues, tall, cold, and silent. On the surface, everything was peaceful. But Mira saw it all differently now. Every Kyrith footstep was a threat. Every hallway, a trap. Every shadow seemed to move. The aliens believed humans were weak, emotional, and easy to break. Mira decided to let them think that. She walked to her work shift with heavy eyes and slumped shoulders, her voice shaking just enough. Broken humans were easier to control, and she played the part perfectly. But inside, Something sharp and cold was growing. During her rest hours, she vanished into the forgotten parts of the ship. An old cargo bay, an abandoned recycling area. She trained in secret. At first, it was simple. Running, climbing, holding her breath under pressure. Then, it got harder. She learned to dismantle machines with her eyes closed, timed herself climbing through tight vents, and turned old tools into weapons. She wasn't training to survive. She was training to hunt. One night, a rough voice echoed from the shadows of the cargo bay. "You hit too slow." Mira spun around, a metal rod clutched in her hand. It was Graves, an old, retired soldier most people dismissed as useless. He stepped into the light. "You're not training to survive," he said, a smirk on his face. "You're training to kill." Mira didn't deny it. "I'm training to finish what they started." From that night on, Graves became her mentor. Weeks passed. By day, she was the quiet, broken technician the Kyrith guards ignored. By night, she trained until her muscles screamed. Graves taught her to move without a sound, to strike with precision, to use the shadows, to use fear itself. She started stealing small things, a power cell, a coil, a blade. Nothing big, but the Kyrith noticed. "Too many small things disappearing," she overheard them say. "Someone is preparing something." Late one night, she heard their metallic footsteps below her hiding spot in the vents. They were talking about her brother. "He was close to uncovering the core secret," one hissed. The other replied, "The girl will never know. Humans are too emotional. She will break." A cold smile spread across Mira's face. She dropped from the vent, landing silently behind them. Before they could react, she struck. One went down with a blow to the knee. The other, with a precise strike to a nerve point. She didn't kill them. She leaned in close and whispered, "Tell your captain, I'm coming." And then she was gone. Back in her cabin, Mira held Evan's broken ID tag. He saw something the Kyrith wanted hidden. Now she had one mission: find the truth, expose it, and make them repent. She looked in the mirror. The broken girl was gone. In her place stood a weapon. A shadow whispered inside her, "You are becoming what they fear." And Mira whispered back, "Good." Mira's days passed like a quiet storm. To everyone on Aurora 9, she was just another technician. Tired eyes, busy hands, a soft voice. But nights were different. Nights were for her training, for the hidden vents, for the stolen drills, and the whispered lessons from Graves. And now, she was ready for something new, the truth. She'd learned how to access restricted systems. Hidden servers, alien data logs, encrypted communications. Nothing was too secure. Tonight, she was aiming for the most forbidden of all, the Kyrith Core database. Mira crouched in the abandoned maintenance bay, setting up her makeshift station. 3 stolen datapads, a magnetic scanner, and a small EMP disruptor to fool the sensors. Her fingers flew across the keypad, each tap a steady heartbeat in the silence. After several tense minutes, the system whined softly. The firewalls fell away. Inside, the Kyrith secrets waited. Mira's eyes widened. Files with names she had never seen before. Files marked Bio-Experiment Human Test Subject. She opened one, her stomach twisting. The files described entire human colonies, innocent families, workers, even children, taken quietly from Aurora 9 and other ships. The Kyrith were running twisted experiments, testing human biology, strength, even our emotions, in ways no one could survive. And then she found it. Evan's final report. Her brother. He had discovered a secret chamber hidden deep within Aurora 9, a place where humans were being used as living test subjects. He had marked his report with a stark warning. High risk. Do not allow Kyrith access. Evan had tried to save them, and the Kyrith had silenced him for it. Mira pressed her lips together, anger burning through her like a white-hot fire. She finally knew the truth. The Kyrith's accident story was a lie. Her brother had been brave, and she would be braver. Mira downloaded everything onto a small encrypted drive. Every file, every message, every report. As she was about to leave, a faint clicking sound echoed from the vent above. Someone was watching her. Someone new. She froze, listening. 2 alien footsteps below. Not soldiers, spies. Quiet, calculated, searching for a breach. Mira had seconds. She slipped the drive into her jacket and moved silently along the vent. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her training kicked in. Slow breaths, measured steps, zero noise. She reached a maintenance ladder and dropped into the shadows of the lower corridors just as the Kyrith spies entered the empty bay. She pressed herself against the cold wall, hearing them hiss in their sharp, alien language. The human accessed the core. She must be found, now. A cold smile touched Mira's lips. They were finally afraid of her. Back in her cabin, she spread the files across the floor. Diagrams of the hidden chambers, schedules of Kyrith patrols, even notes on weak points in their armor. She had everything she needed to hit them back. Her eyes hardened as she traced her finger over Evan's last message. "He tried," she whispered. "I will finish what he started." The room felt small, but inside, Mira felt enormous. She was no longer just a grieving sister. She was a hunter. Days later, the Kyrith began to notice. Missing files, altered logs, minor sabotage. At first, they blamed system errors. But soon, whispers spread among them. It is not an accident. Someone is moving against us. A human? Yes. Someone stronger than we expect. Mira overheard them and smiled to herself. Let them think it was a ghost. Let them fear the shadows. She was becoming the nightmare they never saw coming. Her next step was clear. She couldn't just train anymore. She needed allies. She needed humans who had survived the Kyrith before, humans who had tasted fear but refused to break. But first, she had to survive tonight. The Kyrith were closing in, and she was the target. Sitting in her dark cabin, Mira looked at Evan's broken ID tag. A memory flashed through her mind. His laugh, the time he fixed her broken watch, the way he always believed in humanity. Her hand clenched into a tight fist. The quiet girl who cried alone in her cabin was gone. In her place stood something sharper, faster, unstoppable. A whisper seemed to fill the room, almost like Evan's voice. "Make them pay?" Mira nodded. "I will." Tomorrow, she would step out into the ship as something the Kyrith had never seen before. A human who was smarter, stronger, and unbroken. The forbidden truth was out. And now, the hunt had begun. The Kyrith were hunting her. Mira knew it the moment she stepped into the empty corridor of Deck 7. The metal walls hummed with the ship as energy, but beneath that familiar thrum was a pulse of something darker, something alien. It was the rhythm of Kyrith soldiers moving, searching, scanning. She pressed her body flat against the cold bulkhead, her breath catching in her throat as she listened. 2 patrols. One from the left, one from the right, their heavy footfalls echoing through the corridor like a drumbeat counting down to her death. Mira's heart hammered against her ribs, but years of living on the edge had taught her control. One slow breath in, one slow breath out. Focus. They thought they could corner her. They thought she was just another scared, isolated human. They were so wrong. Like a shadow detaching from the wall, Mira moved. Her steps were absolutely soundless as she scaled a maintenance ladder and slipped into the ventilation system overhead. Her hands were steady, gripping a short metal rod she had sharpened to a deadly point. Through the grated floor, she watched the 2 Kyrith patrols converge below. They were oblivious, their bulky forms moving with an arrogant confidence. She saw their patterns, learned their habits in seconds. The taller soldier paused to scan a junction, while the shorter one tapped impatiently at a scanner on his wrist. It was the perfect opening. In a silent drop, she landed behind the shorter soldier. A swift, brutal strike to the back of his knee sent him down with a muffled groan. The taller one spun around, his weapon raising, but Mira was already a blur of motion. She used his own momentum against him, slamming him headfirst into the wall. Both were unconscious before they hit the ground. She dragged them into a dark maintenance closet, their slow, steady breathing the only sound. Humans, she thought, were unpredictable, and that was her greatest weapon. But survival wasn't enough. She wanted the Kyrith to feel fear. She wanted them to understand that humanity would not be broken. Using a set of stolen tools, Mira began her campaign of sabotage. Small, irritating things at first. Minor power outages that flickered the lights. Sudden vent locks that trapped patrols. False fire alarms that sent squads scrambling. Nothing deadly. Yet, just enough to fray their nerves, to make them anxious. As she moved through the ship's hidden pathways, she left behind subtle warnings. A strange symbol etched into a wall panel. A single deliberate bloodstain near a disabled sensor. The low, unnerving hum of disrupted electronics. Each act was a whisper in the dark, a message that echoed in the minds of her hunters. A human is watching. A human is coming. Her quiet war led her to a storage bay where Kyrith engineers were calibrating advanced weaponry. This time, she wasn't as lucky. A soldier caught the flicker of her shadow. Human detected. He roared, the alarm blaring, but she was ready. Mira vaulted over a stack of crates, rolled, and struck him with a precise blow to the shoulder. His weapon clattered uselessly to the floor. Another soldier raised his rifle, but Mira moved faster than his alien reflexes could track. A powerful kick to his chest sent him staggering back into a rack of equipment. She didn't kill them. That wasn't the lesson she wanted to teach. Not yet. She wanted them afraid, nervous, fully aware that humans were not the weak, docile prey they believed. As she vanished back into the vents, she heard one of the guards whisper, his voice shaking. She moves. Like a predator. Back in the quiet dark of the vents, Mira crouched on a narrow beam, watching the new patrol patterns form below. The Kyrith were strong, confident in their physical power. But she had something far stronger. Human intelligence, human unpredictability, and above all, human patience. She studied them, memorizing their timing, noting the small weaknesses in their armor, the gaps in their patrol routes. Every detail was a weapon being sharpened in her mind. Her mentor, Graves, had always told her, a strong enemy will always make mistakes. You just have to wait for it. Then you strike. Mira had been waiting for years. She could wait a little longer. Later, she infiltrated the sublevels of the command deck. Here, she planted her most daring trap. Not a bomb, but evidence. A small tracker, minor data leaks, logs that were subtly manipulated. And she left a single encrypted message in their own alien symbols. One only a high-ranking Kyrith officer could read. We see you. We are ready. Fear humans. By the time they discovered it, she was long gone, already planning her next move. For the first time in a long time, Mira felt the raw power of humanity flowing through her. Alone, small, a single woman against an empire. And she had them running scared. She was no longer the prey. She was the hunter. Pausing above the main reactor room, she listened. The ship's hum was erratic, a testament to her sabotage. The soldiers' communications were filled with panic. They were still dangerous. She knew that. But the tables had turned. She reached into her pocket, and her fingers closed around a worn ID tag. Evans' tag. She whispered his name, a promise and a prayer. I promised you. I will make them repent. The hunt was just beginning. The Kyrith had dismissed human creativity, human intelligence, human resilience. Tonight, They would learn what humans were truly capable of. And tomorrow, the rebellion would begin. Mira moved through the dark corridors of Aurora 9 like a shadow. The ship was alive with tension. Kyrith soldiers were everywhere, their eyes sharper, their movements more cautious. They knew something was wrong, something dangerous. But they didn't know the truth yet. Humans were rising. For months, Mira had been secretly contacting other human survivors, scattered across nearby colonies, all victims of Kyrith experiments. Now, with the evidence Evan had died for, she sent an encrypted message. The truth is out. The Kyrith kill, lie, and experiment on our people. We fight. Meet at Dock 12B. Do not hesitate. She waited in a shadowed corridor, her heart pounding. Then quietly they arrived. Yalin, a former security officer with a prosthetic arm. Tara, a medic left for dead after experiments. And Rico, a young engineer who knew alien tech better than anyone. They looked tired, broken, fearful. But when Mira showed them Evan's files, that fear turned to fire. This is real, Yalin whispered. We can't wait anymore. We fight. Mira nodded, her voice calm but full of strength. Then fight we shall. But first, we must be smart. The Kyrith think we are weak. They are wrong. In secret, they trained. Mira taught them stealth, sabotage, and quick strikes. They practiced in abandoned cargo bays and narrow maintenance tunnels. Each day, they became faster, smarter, stronger. The Kyrith patrolled more aggressively, but the humans had learned to disappear into shadows, to hide in plain sight. Mira watched them, a sense of pride filling her. She had turned ordinary people into warriors. Holding Evan's ID tag, she whispered, "You would be proud, little brother." Humans are rising. Their first target was a supply depot filled with weapons and energy units. Mira led them through hidden vents, pointing out the blind spots. Yalin disabled the door scanner, Tara set traps, and Rico prepped a small EMP. As they entered silently, Mira felt a thrill. This was the first true human strike against the Kyrith. A patrol passed, completely unaware of the small human army hiding behind the crates. Mira struck first, a swift, silent blow. The others followed. In minutes, the depot was theirs. Alarms blared across Aurora 9. The Kyrith finally sensed the change. Unauthorized human activity detected. Contain immediately. Their soldiers moved faster, but now there was a new feeling in the air. Fear. Hidden in a vent, Mira smiled. Let them see it. Let them feel it. The strike was just a spark, but that spark was catching. Messages spread to other colonies. Rebel cells began to form. Humanity was uniting. Mira looked at her small team, their eyes bright with resolve. For the first time in years, fear had turned into hope. A single human could strike fear. A small group could disrupt operations. But united, humans could take back the stars. The spark had become a flame. The corridors of Aurora 9 fell silent. The Kyrith High Commander had sent reinforcements, but I moved with the confidence of someone who had nothing left to lose. Every shadow was my ally, every vent a new path to strike. Clutching my brother Evan's ID tag, I whispered, "Tonight, it ends." On the command deck, the High Commander waited. His armor gleamed, his black eyes studying me. "You survived," he said, his voice a low threat. "Your brother begged for life. You should have done the same." I stepped forward, my metal rod ready. My small rebel team hid in the shadows, waiting for my signal. "I don't beg," I said calmly. "I fight, and you will pay." He laughed, a cold, echoing sound. "Humans are weak. You cannot defeat me." A cold smile touched my lips. Weak? Until proven otherwise. The fight wasn't a chaotic rush, but a battle of minds. I moved faster than he expected, dodging his energy blasts, slipping under his swings. I used the ship itself as a weapon, triggering hidden vents to create sudden air pressure changes. Sparks flew, smoke filled the room. The commander swung blindly, strong but predictable. I analyzed his every move, every pattern, every weakness. I struck a joint in his armor, forcing him to stumble. My team moved with precision, disabling his guards one by one. Impossible. A human. He growled. Yes, I whispered. Humanity. At the climax, I activated a small holographic projector. Evan's last message echoed across the deck. If anything happens, don't trust them. Fight for the truth. The commander froze, his alien mind stuttering. I seized the moment, striking his weak points decisively. He fell to his knees, gasping. I stood over him, my rod raised. You killed my brother. You thought I would break. I didn't. I am what you should have feared. His knees hit the metal floor, his armor cracking. Outside, the human rebels rallied, inspired by our victory. They pushed back Kyrith reinforcements, disabling systems, claiming control of Aurora 9. We were an unstoppable wave. Looking at the fallen commander, I whispered to Evan's ID tag, "We did it, little brother." Humanity fights back. Aurora 9 was ours. The ship, once a prison, was now a symbol of our resilience. I turned to my team, their eyes bright with victory. Tonight, we reclaim what they took. Tomorrow, we make sure the Kyrith never forget who we are. We fight smart, we fight together, and we fight like humans. They will learn. The war had only just begun. The corridors of Aurora 9, once cold and silent under Kyrith rule, now buzzed with human voices. Every step, every command, carried a new purpose. Mira stood on the bridge, clutching her brother Evan's broken ID tag. The ship's systems were finally under human control. A wave of sorrow and triumph washed over her. Evan's death wasn't just for revenge. It had ignited a spark of hope, courage, and freedom for all of humanity. Mira activated the ship's communication systems. Her voice, calm yet powerful, broadcast across every hidden human colony. This is Mira. The Kyrith have lied, killed, and experimented on us for too long. We will no longer hide. We will no longer obey. The truth is out, and humanity will rise. Join us. Stand with us. Fight with us. Across the screens, evidence from Evan's reports flashed proof of the Kyrith's atrocities. Humans who had lived in fear now felt a surge of rage and determination. For the first time, the Kyrith didn't face a lone rebel. They faced an entire uprising. Reports flooded Kyrith command centers. Aurora 9 has fallen. Human rebels are striking everywhere. High-ranking officers whispered in fear. They are organized. They are not afraid. Mira's small acts of sabotage had ignited a firestorm that now threatened their empire. Humans, underestimated for so long, were no longer prey. When a final Kyrith fleet arrived to reclaim Aurora 9, they were met with something they never expected. A human crew, fully prepared and united. Every attack was countered with precision and cunning. They weren't just fighting soldiers. They were fighting the unbreakable human spirit. Inspired by Mira's message, colonies rose up. Rebel cells coordinated attacks, sabotaged supply lines, and liberated prisoners. The message was clear. You hurt one of us, and you face all of us. Walking through the ship, Mira saw humans repairing systems, tending to the wounded, and preparing for what came next. She held Evan's ID tag to her chest. "We did it," she whispered. "They will never underestimate us again." Mira then broadcast one final message to the Kyrith. Humanity is awake. Humanity will fight. And humanity will make you regret underestimating us. This is our warning and our promise. Repent before it is too late. For the first time, the Kyrith knew fear. Aurora 9, once a prison, was now a beacon of human courage. The rebellion had just begun, but the galaxy would never forget the night a single human turned the tide. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, be sure to follow for more.